Oh yeah, right, this is a really quick video. I'm gonna try and fix my hood. The rear window's slowly falling out. Complete amateur. I've done a look at some of the YouTube videos online. I bought a replacement hood for my lovely little MX5 and we see how we go. Wish me luck. Here's the hood. Bought from MX5 Heaven for about 290 quid. Not a lot to it. Didn't come with any screws that I can find. And based on numerous videos I've seen online, there's the instructions that sort of came with the hood. This is the array of tools that I'm kind of going to need to use. A variety of different sockets. For the mechanic-y types, we've got big E type sockets, small sockets. Smaller ones are quite useful because they'll fit on my little impact driver. A variety of little screwdrivers and stuff. A hammer. None of the instructions suggest you need a hammer, but I'm quite comfortable having a hammer to hand. And that's about 30 quid's worth of little rivety thing and some mixed rivets. And that is the hood removal tool. Oh, and this is a fork, which we need two. There seems to be a couple of schools of thought. The instructions that came on the hood suggest that I should take off the entire hood and the frame, and the other school of hood is I take one of these and then cut it off. Just feels so wrong. Right, first top tip. If you're cutting the vinyl roof off, these cool straps are there. Should I be cutting through those cool straps? That's not going to be cool. This is the tensioning cable thing that I've got to drill out, but on my car it's broken, and I'm not sure if there should be one this side. If there is one meant to be one this side, it ain't here. So this is what the car looks like. Everything I'm keeping, I'm putting on the back of the car. That was the top tip. And I've got this cool little tray where I'm putting these little things in. And now I'm going to be using a fork to take these little plastic clips out. Sort of like this. Now the idea is if you don't use a fork and you use a like a flathead screwdriver, you can break the heads of these. This is where I'm about to show you how to break one of the heads of these with a fork. There you go. Ta-da! Okay, we've successfully managed to take all these little plastic things from around the edge. I was holding that in with a fork. Went all a bit Uri Geller there, so maybe if you're doing this, invest in a cool little tool. And I stand corrected on this side, by the way. There is a tensioning cable, so that's where it attaches to. This little spring thing there. That's the start of that tensioning cable. And I've cut this all open here with the trusty knife. And then sure enough, it does attach there. So I've got one this side. This is what one looks like when it's done properly. And that's the remains of the roof. Here we go. Okay, simply drilling out the rivet. It's not as straightforward as it looks. That's the thing I'm trying to get out. Pull that out. Got that bit out, but now I'm left with this other bit, which I'll struggle with. I'll fiddle around with that. But again, I'm left with the remains of the rivet there, and I've also got these little bits of bloody aluminium filaments all over the place. So, hoover time, but pulled it through, and that's why that hole is so big there, because that's where it got pulled through. So I can imagine, hopefully, the new one will have a hole big enough for me to pass that groovy plastic head on there. See. Okay, where do we get to? We have successfully managed to remove these, I'm sure they've got a technical term, retaining plates, using the 10mm. I've had to use the 1/2 inch big ratchet set because the protruding bolts here were getting in the way of the smallest socket type, so I've had to use the bigger socket type. But that's what you end up with. We've got 3 of these. Yeah, this one's usefully got an R on it. But yeah, so they go around like that. And then the famous drain that you hear so much about is basically a flexible thing here that appears to be attached. There you go. So your roof, here's the roof, sandwiches in between the drain. So that drain, I'm going to pull all that out, pull the remains of the roof out. Interestingly, my roof appears to have been riveted to the end. I think there should be bolts there, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. But yeah, so that's the flexible drain that needs to be cleaned out, and then at the end you have the sort of drain hole that sort of it ends in, which again they reckon always ends up blocked up, and sure enough mine looks full of mud and stuff. Yep, we're going to drill these out. I think this is actually part of the design. And then we're going to take the frame and we're going to lower the hood for the next bit. Okay, the drilling out of rivets continues, using probably the wrong drill bit, but hey, who cares. This is the bit that we've taken off. This is where the rivets were, holding that in. Here's our little drain hole. It was full of soil and stuff. They talk about using a kettle and all sorts of wires and that to clean that out. Oh, I've not. I've used a hoover, the trusty sort of Ryobi thing over there, to clean that out. Because also you just get these aluminium bits all over the bloody place, so that got rid of a lot of the aluminium bits as well. Also discovered in my little drain rail here that we've got a bit of a sort of a made up repair there, but we've also got a bit of a split going on here, so I'm probably going to make do and note for the future that I could do with another one of these, but for now, trusty tank tape. Get a bit of tank tape in there, a bit of gaff tape in there. That'll do for now. I don't think there's any other splits in there. That can't be good. Just gently lower it down here like this. And the idea is we're going to be pulling this bit off here, like that. Plate comes off here. This is all still old roof, don't forget, so we need to get all this old roof off. Pull this off here with a trusted screwdriver. Okay, so we've taken 2 screws to pull that off. Oh, bugger. And I've just taken this last screw off here. Put in a trusty container here. And 2 of the little black screws for that bit of rubber. 3 for this bit of metal. Pull the bit of metal off. Store it carefully there. What we should be able to do is start to take some of this roof off. I'm guessing we're going to take this metal plate off as well there. Still taking off. Right, instructions are not very clear about this bit. What the hell is that bit, you ask? Right, so this bit is the bit of trim that goes onto this bit of pillar here. So when the roof is up, it's that bit there. Alright, what you can't see is it's got 2 of those little epoxy plug things, and luckily I've not broken those, because what I did was I levered it with trusty flathead screwdriver. So let's have a look at one I prepared earlier, or one I've not prepared earlier. So here it is in place. You pull it up. What's the other thing? Interestingly, on this side we've got what looks like silicone sealant or something used to put that into place. We've got to take that metal plate off in a minute. And you can't quite see what the hell is holding in the side. So what I did, I took an executive decision and carefully eased the flathead screwdriver down in this gap here. He says trying to do it with one hand whilst videoing at the same time, and then what you'll see is me break these little metal plastic clips. Right, let me concentrate a sec, hold on. And this one didn't come without a fight, buggered it I reckon. This is the end of that little plastic cap that should look like that, and it's bust this one, so you tip that out here. You can see it's all a bit messed up there. Might need a new one of these little plastic trims. And also I'm I'm left with like the stump. I'm going to have to use a pair of pliers to get that out. That's not cool. Actually, a lot easier than you think. Got a tiny screwdriver. The reason I've had to go that way around, oh no, that's a little metal plate we've got to take out. That little poxy plastic peg is still stuck in there, so I'll have to try something else. I might try rocket launcher. You can get a better look at that plastic peg now, because each yanking it bent that whole plate out. I'm hoping, and we'll find out right now, taking out these screws, pulling this plate off, will that make it any easier to get to? Let's have a look. No, it won't. So this is all still part of the old roof, and it's got some rivets in as well by the looks of it. That's really helpful, and that's my dog being generally annoying. There's a little git, the remainder of that little plastic peg thing. Chuck that in the little souvenirs box with the rest. I ended up getting it out by pushing it out instead of pulling it out. It bent this plate back so much. So what I'll do is I'll give that a push back. This is the remainder of the old roof that you're seeing here. I'll pull that back. I'll drill these little rivet things out here. There we go. Yeah, we've entered a dangerous phase in the build now. I've taken those little extra bits off the side, like that. The dangerous bit is where it seems pretty obvious what I need to do next. It's what we call improvisation. So I've taken those bits of those screws off. There's a little collection so far. So they're the ones retaining the front bit on. That I think is the last of the old roof. Now if we leave it as it is, this is the world's leakiest MX5. Aerodynamic, lightweight, probably excellent on track days. Right, let's find out what we need to do to put the new one on. Now, there's the new hood. Looks like what we need to do is we need to lay it in place. And the very first thing we do is we attach a little clip to the bottom of the B pillar, which I think is this bit there, I think, as it comes up, that bit there. So got to clear all this rubbish out of the way and put the new hood in place. Okay, here's the new roof. Trying to work out which way around it goes. So obviously I think this bit goes round the edges, around the back around the back. That's obviously the inside. You can see the wires there. So that's obviously the inside. So I think that needs to go the other way around. Carefully. I've cleared all the tools out. So therefore that goes over the top of the roof. The roof is currently in its up position. See how that looks? Okay, what I've done is I've scrunged the brand new roof into the hole. There's more little aluminium bits knocking about. Chuck that in the bits box. This is the first bit we have to do, which is put the little brackets on. I'm going to have to remember which one goes onto which side. This roof, the holes are sort of partially punched out. It's not too onerous, they're obviously in the right place. These are the two rivet holes, if you remember, that go on here. So these need to be, I'll have to drill those out, but they've been marked in position so I don't have to work it out. So we'll just pull these little bits of vinyl off there. And these are, oh look at that looks familiar. See how that goes. But basically, we start with the roof, which attaches to this bit here. And as we pull this roof back, that's the B pillar, I think they refer to it as. So that bracket goes on the end. And what I'm concerned about is as we pull this back, it's going to scrunch our new roof. So what I have to do is, like I've done that side, it's all tucked on the inside. So we have to be very careful that we don't ruin the new roof. Here goes nothing. You know that moment where you wish you had the original car with the old roof on, you could compare how it went before. But I had a bit of a revelation. On the end of the roof here, there's what looks like a little pocket here, you see that? There's a little sticky out metal bit here. That tucks neatly over there. These holes then pretty much line up with that. Yeah. There's also this big flappy plastic thing here. So that obviously goes on the outside. So that's how I reckon it goes. And then, ooh, if you look down there, hopefully once we put that bracket in place. And do you remember working out which bracket goes on which side? The previous roof change only had sealant on that side of the car, not this side of the car. And plus, remember we had that plastic rivet problem. That bent the bracket all out of place, so it's really easy to work out which bracket goes on which side. That bracket's all buggered and bent, and this one was not. So here we go, screw that in. But fingers crossed, it's starting to look promising now. I might treat myself to a beer in a minute, and it's all going to go pizza. Look at that. It looks like a tension cable drawn rod, but it's actually a curtain rail, net curtain rail I think. But I'm going to use that to thread the tension cable through the lining, and we'll see how that looks. Something like that, I reckon. Right, pop rivet in 101. Let's see how we're going to get away with doing this. One pop rivet goes into pop rivet gun. Make sure you get the right nozzle by sticking it in the end there. You stick it in the hole, in this case that hole there, and squeeze until it pops. Oh, there you go. That's the little end bit. Don't lose that. Right, I've rushed ahead a bit. The tensioning cable has been attached with the rivet gun, pop rivet gun. So that works best when it's in this position about back here somewhere. Don't attempt to do it when it's over there, because obviously it's at tension. I'm not entirely convinced I've got that bit right, because it is all a bit strange. I've got a bit of Velcro this side, and we've got a bit of Velcro this side, and it sort of fits neatly in the rail, but that doesn't seem quite right. So I might have to change that. It's wifey, come to inspect the work. Right, I've not been paying attention, I've been rushing because I'm desperate for a beer and I've got to fire up the barbecue. I've bolted that bit on, bolt that bit on, bolt that bit on. There's screws along here, I put all the wrong screws in there, so I've changed them over for the cool little black screws. The screws I put in there were these screws. I've had to use a bradawl because this little bit of vinyl here needed a hole. Well, I think that's how it went. I sort of stopped looking at the instructions. So, and it's all looking good. I've just got to bolt in the back bit now and put in the rubber trims on here, which I'm sure are fairly important. But all being well, if it starts to rain, let's have a look at the clouds. If it starts to rain, it's unlikely, the MX5 will not fill with water.
Huh.
Impressed, babes?
Yeah, I'll believe it when it rains.
Have a little faith.
I know you.
Icy drink. We've got very important metal bits on the outside. We've got a saggy roof. We have spectators now. Look, look, look. Hello. Hello. And now we've got this impossible thing where we've got to try and get the inside done from, and I can't, you know, my enthusiasm's waning now. We've got a big pile of stuff on the bonnet.
Get that close. They were scared to be shut on together.
Big gap, check it out. I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah, cool. And all that's while the glass has remained intact. All it's quite an arty shot of the mark there, that reflection.
No photos now, thank you.
Larry. Right. We've taken off the bar. Larry's come to stand on all my hard work. Thanks, Larry. Cheers, man. You carry on, fella. Keys are not in it. Anyway, so we had to take out that little chrome bar, which was Mark's idea. It was a wave mark. Yeah, Mark's plan. Because the whole idea of getting under here to put those nuts back in. If there was an easy way of doing it, I have no idea what it was. Don't forget when we took it all apart, we cut all this out with a Stanley, didn't we? So, and do you remember that plastic peg that I graunched and ruined earlier? We'll find one of these strangely missing. So I'll try and get the trim on properly. But I used one of these. I used a little angly thing as well. But yeah, what a pain in the bum. If there's some magic way of, maybe if you've got one of a little proper, that might be a lot easier. All good. Do we remember our friend, the little black bracket at the end of pillar B? I can't remember what it's called. Well, in here, we've got to put in these little black plugs on the end of the rubber thing here, and the vinyl here, we've got little holes. So what I've done is I've cheated. I've sort of screwed this in here as tight as I can. The vinyl is sort of lined up as well as we can, and then I've stabbed it repeatedly with said Bradle, and then hopefully the little plastic plugs will fit in. Hey, fingers crossed. Okay, it's coming up to 8 o'clock. I started at 1 PM, so that's 7 hours to put a roof on, and I am an amateur. So quick shout out to Mark there. Mark turned into, by accident, just popped in to say hello, and he's now tidying all my tools away. I should really pay him a wage. So the roof, it's all right. It's got some weird stretch marks, I think, going on that I'm probably going to need to tune some of the brackets. But the roof is no longer got a whacking great big hole in it. It sort of fitted okay in the end. I learned absolutely tons. Would, if you're an amateur and the most you've ever done is IKEA furniture and Lego, should you do this? I would say yes. It's an old car. It's over 20 years old. It needs attention. The chances are you're not going to be replacing the roof just the once. Maybe you'll be replacing the roof several times. And if, like me, if you buy another MX5, the chances are you'll have to do the roof on that one as well. And if you notice, this car, I don't tend to wash it. I really should look after my car more. And after doing the roof, I'm going to do more of it. Right, so tools. This was really good. This is a really good tool. It's got an angled head on it, so that was quite helpful. This little cheap Rolson screwdriver, that was good as well. Gets into some little spaces. Old faithful flathead screwdriver was good. I had to use a Bradle to make some holes where the holes were marked on the roof, but they weren't actually made, so I had to use a Bradle to sort of punch those through. Sometimes I use a drill. What else? I've only got one of those tensioning cables, so I might have to buy another tensioning cable now because I've fitted the roof. I know where to put it. The seals, I know a lot about my seals now. These 3 seals that, you know, we take for granted. 1, 2, 3, and then, you know, there's the little thing where I've got over enthusiastic with a screwdriver and now I've punctured it. So I'll be buying a new set of seals for both sides of the car. But yeah, no, it's all good. I did it myself. I saved myself. I had one garage quoting me 150 quid to fit the roof, so I saved myself 150 quid, which I'm now going to spend on gin and beer. Have a good one.